Hello there, and welcome to the second episode of Project Nurva. So last time we left off on the very beginning of diversification within the amphizoans. So let's jump right into it. 1.525 billion years into Nurva's timeline, Neurodotera develops a second wing on its back to increase surface area, so it will be called Diploptera from here on out. Another species, called Tritera, evolves free back wings. Due to the increased food intake required by Tritera, a certain off-branch called Litera begins to prey on the amphizoans. The increased energy of Quinantha allows it to evolve the ability to pull its leaves into the ground. Quadantha, not having the energy to do this, instead evolves thicker petals with primitive digestive cavity inside. This filter-feeding lifestyle gives them enough energy to reproduce so fast that they out-reproduce the Literans. This species, named Pacantha, rapidly outcompetes the Quinanthans, hence multiplying in number drastically. Meanwhile, the Literans prove to have an advantage over the Diploterans. Due to this, the Triteran clade doesn't go extinct, but instead thrives. Some Literans begin to hunt the Diploterans. The Diploterans develop eyes to see the Literans. The Diploterans, now called Oriterans, are hunted by the Oritera-eating Literans, now called the Dunadoterans, develop eyes in suit. The two develop a more complex brain in order to process the visual input effectively. We are currently 1.54 billion years into Nurva's history and beginning to see a sort of Cambrian explosion. The Pacanthan's petals begin to develop the ability to detach themselves and leave in case of emergency attack. They can then reroot themselves and grow another Pacanthan. Some of these Pacanthan petals begin to roam freely in the ocean as zooplankton, briskly carried in the waves. The main advantage of this is that the tides carry food, and these now called monophyllans, are filter feeders and carried in these tides, bringing food not just to them, but with them. Some monophyllans develop muscles that allow them to wave their bodies up and down, similar to the style of the Nodoterans and their descendants, now making up the phylum Kinetera. The only real difference is that these Kinophyllans, as they shall now be called, are the wings instead of having a wing in the back. This is advantageous to get away from predators, though not enough to wipe out the still hill monophyllans, now called the Etiphyllans. The Literans, who still consume the amphizoans, slowly evolve to be filter feeders just like them. They're called Phylloterans, and slowly begin to become prey for the Dunadoterans. But they're quite big, so they aren't easy pickings for Dunadoterans per se. Meanwhile, the Oriterans begin to develop an innovative defense mechanism. What if, instead of speeding away from the predators, they could somehow protect their internal organs with a shell of some kind? The oceans of Nurva are relatively rich in calcium. A calcite shell develops around the brain and spinal cord, forming a primitive skeleton. The Dunadoterans follow in suit with bony spikes, i.e. teeth, protruding through their mouths. Well, we end this episode 1.57 billion years into Nurva's timeline. See y'all next time!